From reading a lot of comments on news sites, blog sites, Facebook and other social media, it appears there's a growing disenfranchisement among younger people in Australian society. It would seem that Gen something or other, or generation less, I can never remember which gen it is, but they're feeling that they are being left behind and that their future is being mortgaged to the benefit of the boomers. And I'm a boomer, and I can see their point of view sometimes. But there are valid arguments on both sides of that equation. But I'm more interested in meeting people who are doing something about redressing their grievances, instead of just sitting on their bum and whinging about it. And one of those people is Shane Joyce from Kilkivan near Gympie in Queensland. Shane has put his money, his farm, time and considerable knowledge where his mouth is in order to create opportunities for a younger generation. You don't necessarily have to be young farmers, but you do need a passion and enthusiasm for farming work and be willing to listen as well as provide input to what you want to achieve. Shane has plenty of experience to share and a group of mentors to help as well. And Shane has created a website called Kilkivan Community Farm. The URL is in the description below the video. Stay with me and see what Shane has to say about Kilkivan Community Farm and how you could own your own farm. Shane, from looking at your website and sort of reading all about it, I think most people would want to know, who is Shane Joyce?
Okay, so Shane Joyce, grew up in the beef cattle grazing industry in central Queensland near Theodore. Stayed in the beef cattle industry until 1974. Took a 8-year break, came back into the industry in 1982, and then sold my main property in 2013. Relocated to a farm at Kilkivan, which is 141 hectares, which I call my beach block.
So what size was the other place?
The Theodore property was 7,900 hectares.
Holy dooly. Okay.
3,500 hectares of agricultural grazing land, and the rest was sandstone escarpment of bushland.
Right. And I also saw on the website that you introduced a lot of different things to that property. You became a bit of a, I don't know, I guess they might have called you landed from Mars or something, the way I read the website, or your neighbours.
When I first went back out there in 1982 with long hair and a beard, I was probably regarded as the prodigal son come home, but it turned into a hippie. And about 10 years on from then, I started catching a little bit of attention with resource consulting service, who are my consultants, and with the land care movement.
Because of what you were doing on the property?
Yeah, we were doing, I did a lot of different configurations of timber retention, of regrowth, and of virgin bush.
Okay.
So the first 10 years was basically done without any peers to compare what I was doing and no tools to measure. In 1993, I did the Grazing for Profit School and started to collect a few peers to confer notes with, and also had some really good measuring tools to measure what I was doing.
Okay. So how did your idea for Kilkivan Community Farm evolve?
In the process of selling the Theodore property, which was a long drawn out 10-year process, I did the numbers on it because one prospect was selling it and leasing it back. So I did the numbers on what I could afford to pay to lease it back and make money. And at the time, the benchmark for leasing back was 6 or 7% of capital value. when we ran the numbers on it, it worked out that 1% of capital value was where profitability was. And I looked at that in the light of somebody young buying a farm and paying interest at the bank at 7 or 8% and then getting a return of only 1%. So it started me thinking that we need to start to look at different mechanisms or structures for land ownership so that young people trying to get into agriculture weren't burdened by debt for paying real estate prices for land.
So if a young potential farmer didn't have a lot of money but had a desperate desire to start a farming business and a willingness for hard work that goes with farming and wanted to build a business, would this be an opportunity?
I see it absolutely as being an opportunity because basically the property now is close to markets, it has adequate water and the potential to come in and start a farming operation. The door's open, there's no need for capital to buy land. It's only really a matter of working out what lease or percentage of production is taken out as a lease payment.
Okay. And when did you start changing from thinking about all of this to doing something about it?
Well, I guess I first hatched the idea many years ago because of the conservation values that the Theodore property had attained. I tried selling it to Bush Heritage. I tried selling it to Australia Wildlife Conservancy. I tried a Queensland conservation group, I just can't think of their name offhand, but I didn't have any success in doing that. I then put it on the market and potentially the only chance of selling it was to what I call the Bufflegrass Bullocks and Bulldozer Brigade. So the potential was to sell it and have what I'd done totally destroyed and exploited. So I then started thinking of other ways to sell it and looked at the concept of selling shares in it to many people. And when I was thinking about that, a coal seam gas consortium came along and they ended up buying it for environmental offsets. So basically the work I've done is now protected from clearing. The whole property now is under Nature Refuge Covenant and we remain running a livestock enterprise there. So I achieved my aim there with protecting what I'd done in the landscape from totally out of left field. And then when I moved to the farm here at Kilkivan, I thought the potential to do the same sort of thing of change the ownership is hugely magnified because of the proximity of the farm to markets and the availability of water and the good condition land.
Okay, yeah, I agree with you. If you want a farm, you want to be close to it enough to markets or transport to markets, and you want to have water.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's the next step for people that are watching this? What do you think they should do?
So the next step on the website that we've got is an expression of interest form to fill out. And I guess the really next step I'd like to see is to get some expression of interest in people. We've got people now, about 18, who want to help with making it happen. We now need to have some interested farmers to come and take up the baton for farming the place or doing production here. And I see the production as not just being agricultural production. I see it as value adding the production from the place, as well as using the farm for an educational workshop, personal development, a healing centre for people.
So your goals are organic or biodynamic or?
Yes, my property at Theodore is organic certified and is now biodynamic certified. This property is not certified at all, but it's now got just over 4 years of biodynamic management.
Okay. So you're a Steiner fan?
I don't know whether I'm a Steiner fan, but what I've done with biodynamics and different management methods in landscape. Biodynamics has now become, the biodynamic preparations have become the most effective and most important tool in my toolkit.
Ah, that's very interesting. Okay, so we've gone through most of this. About all I can say then is, Shane, it's been a pleasure to say hello. And if people want to know more, they can go to the website, which is Kilkivan. If they put in Kilkivan Community Farm in their browser, it'll come up number one. Or if they're watching this, they can go to the below area on YouTube and there'll be a lot of links back to you. The other thing that I've noticed, Shane, is that on your website, you do have your personal mobile number.
Yes. And
also your personal email.
Yes.
And you're happy that that's there for people to be, get in touch with you?
Yeah, my door's open all the time. Yep.
Oh, that's bloody amazing. All right, mate. Been a real pleasure.
So the other thing I'd like to add into this process is there's a network in the south called Cultivating Farming, set up by Samuel Marwood, and I believe that organisation is going to be it's like a matchmaking database for young farmers and old farmers to match land to young farmers, and I believe they'll be a valuable tool in this process, and they may be the mob that starts to find farmers for us here.
Good work. Well, that's all I got to say, mate.
All right, thanks, Rick. Good luck with the edits.
Good luck to you too, mate. It's a bloody pleasure to say hello, and I've enjoyed every minute of it.
Yeah, well, we'll catch up in the flesh sometime.
That sounds good to me.